own daughter's husband tried to have me thrown out of his office for looking poor, but the look on his face when his CEO stepped in, that was just the beginning. Before we get into this, if you appreciate a story about hidden strength, hit that subscribe button. It truly helps the channel. The cold November drizzle was turning my windshield into a blurry mess as I pulled up to my daughter's house in Oakville. My old sedan felt out of place next to their gleaming new luxury SUV parked proudly in the driveway. I'd driven over from my simple apartment in Burlington, a quiet, one-bedroom that suited my needs just fine. Through the large front window, I saw my two grandchildren. Liam, who's 9, pressed his hands to the glass, his smile a beacon. His sister, Chloe, 11, joined him, and I noticed immediately how Liam's coat seemed a bit too small, and Chloe's sneakers were scuffed at the toes. My son-in-law, David, opened the door before I could even knock. He was still in his expensive suit, home from the office but looking every bit the part. "Michael, you're here early." His tone was flat. Traffic must have been light for once. I just nodded, stepping inside and shaking the rain from my worn jacket. "Let me take that," he said, but his eyes were already critiquing my simple jeans and the durable boots I've worn for over a decade. "Sarah's just putting the finishing touches on dinner. You can wait in the living room." The house smelled of herb-roasted chicken and something else, something artificially clean like expensive air freshener. Everything was meticulously styled, modern furniture that looked impressive but wasn't made for comfort. Abstract art on the walls that didn't seem like my daughter's taste at all. Sarah emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a linen towel. My daughter, only 35, but with a tiredness clinging to her eyes that I'd never seen before. "Dad, you made it." She gave me a quick, almost hesitant hug, then stepped back as David moved to stand beside her. A silent statement of unity. "Wouldn't miss it," I told her. We sat for dinner, David at the head of the table. The kids were quiet, observant in a way that children become when the atmosphere is tense. David poured himself a glass of red wine without offering me any. "So, Michael," he began, cutting into his food.
"How are you filling your days now?"
Must be a big adjustment after all. Those years running the supply company. I had owned and operated Great Lakes Supply and Logistics for 40 years. Built it from a single truck into a regional force. Sold it 20 months ago for a sum north of $30 million. But David preferred his narrative. "It's peaceful," I said. "I couldn't do it," he replied. "A man needs ambition. It's what drives success." He took a sip. "Speaking of, you see the new vehicle outside? Top-of-the-line model. In my role at Sterling Financial, image is everything. It's an investment in perception," Sarah offered, a weak smile into her plate. "That's quite a statement," I said, choosing my words with care. "Statement? It's a necessity. You have to spend significantly to earn significantly. Not everyone grasps that concept." His gaze flicked again to my flannel shirt. Chloe tried to ask me about the book I was reading. David spoke right over her. "This thing has a handcrafted engine. 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. But I suppose that's not a priority when you're driving a basic sedan." "It's reliable," I said. "Practical." He repeated the word as if it were an insult. "Yes, practical." The entire meal continued like this. Every subject was twisted into a measure of status and worth. When Liam finally managed to ask if we could go to the park sometime, David cut him off. "Michael doesn't have time for that sort of thing anymore. Retirement on a tight budget means being careful with every penny." "Right, Michael?" I watched Sarah refill his glass before it was even half empty. A practiced automatic motion. This wasn't the fiercely independent daughter I'd raised. She'd met David in college, and piece by piece the light in her had dimmed. "Actually," I interjected, "I was thinking about Liam's soccer. Sarah mentioned the league fees are quite high this season. I'd be happy to cover them. Get him some new gear too." Liam's eyes lit up with hope. David set his fork down with a sharp, precise click. "We take care of our own children, Michael. We don't accept contributions. It's not a contribution. It's their grandfather wanting to help. We don't need financial assistance from someone living in a small apartment on a fixed income." "The discussion is over." His voice was cold, final. Sarah's knife stilled for a second, then continued cutting. "No objection. No defense." After we ate, I asked to see the kids' rooms. Chloe's desk had a leg propped up with a stack of old textbooks. Liam's winter boots in the closet had the soles starting to peel away. But the door to the master suite was ajar. Inside, I spotted a massive bed with stark white linens, the price tag still dangling from the corner of the comforter. I could clearly make out the number. Bilun 400 is in the hallway. Chloe whispered, "Grandpa, do you like Dad's new car?" "It's very shiny, honey. Dad says maybe we can get new winter coats soon. After his bonus comes." She tugged at the sleeve of her thin sweater. "But mine is still okay." I found David in the living room, scrolling through his phone. "Thank you for dinner. David, I'll call next week to arrange another visit. Sarah, we'll let you know our availability. Our schedules are very full." He didn't look up from the screen. Not all of us have endless free time. "David, I would really like to see more of my grandchildren." "We'll see." "Good night, Michael." He turned away. The conversation was terminated. Separately, he's either hiding income or the house of cards is about to fall. I paid him the remainder. I needed to see it for myself. The following week, I waited at a restaurant bar Frank had documented. David walked in with Amanda at 12:20. He held the door for her, his hand resting on the small of her back. I took a photo with my phone, his wedding ring clear on his hand as he leaned in close to her. The bottle of wine he ordered was $130. I left before they saw me. That evening, I laid everything out on my desk. The investigator's report, my own photos, the financial breakdown. The timeline was clear. The affair started, the debt ballooned, the new car arrived. It was a predictable, tragic pattern. I researched Sterling Financial Partners. Their clientele was exclusively high-net-worth individuals. Minimum investment, $10 million. A plan, cold and precise, began to form in my mind. What if a new client wanted to transfer a significant portfolio? What if that client insisted on absolute discretion and direct contact with senior leadership? What if that client was me? I drafted an email to Eleanor Vance, the founding partner of Sterling Financial. I posed as James Ellington, a recent beneficiary of a large business sale, interested in discreet wealth management. I hinted at immediate substantial liquidity. I spent hours on the wording. I sent it the next morning. The response came that afternoon from Eleanor herself. She included her direct line and suggested a private consultation. Perfect. We met 2 days later in her corner office on the 24th floor. The view of the Toronto skyline was immense. Through the glass partition, I could see David at his desk, laughing with a colleague, completely unaware. Eleanor began her standard presentation. I politely interrupted. "Ms. Vance, I've done my research." "I'm prepared to make this simple." I slid an envelope across her polished desk. "This is a bank draft for $2 million as an initial deposit. The remaining $13 million will follow within the month. But I have conditions." She opened the envelope, her professional demeanor shifting at the sight of the money. "I'm listening. First, this stays strictly between us until the full transfer is complete. No internal announcements. No junior staff involvement." She hesitated. "That's unorthodox. May I ask why?" "I value my privacy. I move quietly until I'm ready to act." She nodded slowly. "And the second condition? I want to finalize the full transfer in person, during business hours, unannounced. I prefer to see the authentic operations of any firm I partner with." She agreed. We spent the next hour on paperwork. As we finished, I offered a casual remark. "You have a fine operation here. My son-in-law actually works for you, David Chen." Her expression tightened with recognition, then smoothed into neutrality. "David, yes. He's one of our financial advisors. We don't discuss business. I keep family and money separate." "I understand." I stood to leave. "It will be quite a surprise for him when I finalize everything. I haven't mentioned my plans to the family." The look in her eyes told me she was beginning to understand this was more than a simple transaction. But the contract was signed. The money was real. The call came 4 weeks later. "Mr. Ellington, your transfer is complete. When would you like to come in?" "I'll be there within the hour." I dressed with purpose, but not the kind David would recognize. I wore my oldest jeans, a faded plaid shirt, and my most worn-out work boots. I studied my reflection. I looked exactly like the man he thought I was. I parked my old sedan right in the visitor's spot at Sterling Financial. Through the glass walls, I saw David near the water cooler, holding court with a few junior analysts. He glanced over, did a double take, and his expression morphed from confusion to pure irritation. I walked past the receptionist who started to greet me. I headed straight for the elevator bank. He was already striding over. "Michael, what are you doing here? You can't be in here." His voice was a sharp, embarrassed whisper. He gestured to a security guard near the door. "Security, this gentleman is lost. Can you please escort him out? He's not a client." The guard began to approach. A few of David's colleagues turned to watch, smirks on their faces. This was the public humiliation he had planned for me. But then the elevator doors opened. Eleanor Vance stepped out, her eyes scanning the lobby before landing on me. She walked directly toward us, her heels clicking decisively on the marble floor. David immediately straightened up, a smug, apologetic look on his face. "Ms. Vance, my apologies for the disruption. This is my father-in-law. He must have gotten confused. We're just having him escorted out." Eleanor ignored him completely. She stopped in front of me and extended her hand. "Mr. Ellington, right on time." The entire lobby went silent. David's face went blank, then pale. "Your $15 million portfolio transfer has been fully processed and is now active in your account," she said, her voice clear and carrying. She then turned her icy gaze to David. "And Mr. Chen, please go clear out your desk. You no longer represent the values of this firm. The highest towers are built on the deepest foundations, never on sand." The vengeance wasn't in his firing. That was just a consequence. The true satisfaction was in the silent car ride home with my daughter later that day. As she began to ask the questions she should have asked years ago, and I began to show her the financial security I had always, quietly, built for her and my grandchildren. If you believe in standing up for family, then hit the like button and subscribe. 2 Winds of Thought for more stories about quiet strength. Let me know in the comments. What would you have done in my situation?